Hello, guys. Welcome back to YouTube Gaming Community. I know it's been a while, but, well, I got a beer now, and it's been really cold outside, and I worked really long hours. So, we're going to talk about, obviously, what everybody's been talking about. That is YouTube Content ID Debacle. And this debacle happened, quite frankly, to me for actually three reasons. YouTube itself, the users, and the companies who put their stuff in the Content ID. Let's start with the users, because that's like, why would the users be the users' fault? Because the funny thing to me, looking at this in YouTube, are people who made gains 3, 4, 5 years, made a living off this, right? They always claim ignorance. They always claim they're the victim. Okay, they're making a living off this, but it's funny. They're basically self-employed. Whether you're part of a network or not, you are self-employed. And other professions, I know people are self-employed. They're always worried they could be let go at any minute. So, of course, they save up for, in case that happens. They always are up on the news of what's happening in their profession, just so they know and protect themselves. But on YouTube, the people who make the content don't go and see, okay, what game companies think it's all right to do their gameplay, what game companies have a problem with it, what games are being a problem. And yeah, it may be hard at times, but you'll have to look, but there are places that inform you of what changes YouTube are making. And they don't do this. They just, I'm going to make my video, and something happens, it's YouTube's fault. Simple rule of making a video on YouTube is rather simple. If you do not believe in the content you're making enough to dispute it if you get a Content ID match, then don't put it up on YouTube. Let's be honest, how many people would know with the new Content ID change if people would get hundreds of notices on their channel in one day? One of the problems I've had with the whole YouTube Content ID changes that they continually make is, in this day the change goes in effect, the day that goes in effect, everybody knows that if you put up a video, sure, if you get Content ID or a strike, instantaneous, no argument there. But if you have videos up before that, you may have made a video 3 years ago you completely forgot that you had made. It should be like, hey, these videos you made have matched possible strike or Content ID. You have this many days to remove them, or you will get the Content ID match or a strike. And while you're deciding what to do with that, they could simply take it where no one can see that video, and you need to make a change. Either fix the video or remove it. That, to me, would have been the best system for the older videos. Now, some of these Content ID changes are completely network's fault. The original verbal, kind of non-verbal agreement between YouTube and networks were to start networks in the first place, where networks were supposed to police their users, the people that are part of the networks, videos for copyright content. But what happened was that didn't happen. What they did was basically, as everybody knows who's joining a network, is they put the onus on you. You should know if you have copyright or not. It's not our responsibility to know. That's your responsibility to, if anything happens to you, that's your fault. So completely ignoring the basically kind of known agreement between them and YouTube. So in a sense, YouTube had to do something about it. For people who've been, by the way, partners on YouTube who make some kind of gain, who don't, are not networked, they've been going through these same things for years now. This has been nothing new to them. But for people in networks, if you're associate, as they call associated, if they put you in that category, you're now going through the same thing they've been going through. Well, the people who are not are the managed partners. Those are the ones networks are taking risks on by still allowing them to have the gain almost instantaneous when they put up a video. They're taking a risk on. These guys aren't going to get in trouble. These guys probably are really big guys in the channel, so they're willing to take a risk on it. One of the things that cracks me up the most about when this happened is that the people who've got on their soapbox for a long time saying, I'm all about it for the fun and the videos and community. I don't care about the gain, but this happens, and they're immediately on their soapbox about the gain. Or they're a drone on somebody's channel who got affected by it, like, it's not right that it happened to him. You know what? If you put somebody's music in your video and you don't have the right to license it, someday, somehow, that video is eventually going to get affected. Listen, when it comes to the game community and gameplay, especially Let's Plays, we've all known we've been playing Russian roulette for years, and eventually they were going to get to the bullet. And eventually this was all going to end. That someday this thing around gameplay was going to go away, that eventually the game companies are going to say, enough's enough. We made the product, you're making a gain off us, we don't want it anymore. Or they're dumb enough to think, you know what, if we remove everybody who makes the gameplay videos and we do it ourselves, we can make all the gain off it. But if they were to get rid of the community itself, no one would come to watch their video. Now, to be honest, this debacle is going to affect the gaming community, because what's going to happen is, as people see this happening, they're going to be afraid to make videos about gaming and to be involved in the community because of how this is affecting the gaming community itself. Remember, the number 2 channel of all YouTube is a gaming channel. It's a Let's Play channel. That this would affect the community a lot. I mean, if this were to go rampant. Now, it seems that this is kind of starting to settle down. Hopefully it does. Hopefully people are adjusting to the system. But you should really watch the Jogwheel video I got linked below. This guy, not only does he owns his own network, he also makes, obviously, his own channel, makes videos on YouTube, and he's won over several hundreds of disputes, of Content ID. So not only does he do a good job of, hey, describing what happens, he shows you the great screenshots of, okay, here's what happens when you dispute something. Here's what the people you disputed, who you dispute the Content ID match to your video, what their options are to do. It's a really great video. Everybody who watches should watch. Now, you're asking, why did I say this would be the company's fault? Because I do think this is the company's fault in a way, is that when game companies put their... Because remember, Content ID can't happen unless they put their game into YouTube's Content ID. If they'd simply done audio and not video, a lot of these Let's Plays would never have gotten the Content ID match. It is, again, this is, when it comes to YouTube, the failure mainly has to lie on YouTube for not properly explaining to people who do the Content ID match with their content the options and what they mean to the people who make videos. The user side, they didn't explain the rules for how best to make it so we don't get in trouble. And I believe YouTube should make all of its employees make videos on YouTube to understand the process and how much of it, what they go through to make videos and what they go through dealing with the system itself. That would probably make them adjusting the system faster, easier, because they all understood how much of a nuisance some of the things they do to the people who make content. And it does suck that people who make a living off here have been affected, but you always got to plan that job won't last forever, because today, jobs just don't last forever. And the fact you're self-employed and we're able to do something you love, one of the greatest things that most people would love to do that you get to do. You should be thankful for that. But if someday that comes to an end, it's time to move on. Now, that end hasn't come yet, but a lot of people are making videos complaining about not understanding what they're complaining about. So what do you think about the whole new YouTube Content ID debacle that's gone on? What do you think about the game companies? I mean, we had Ubisoft, Capcom, and Blizzard come out and say, hey, we don't want to remove people's gameplay, dispute it, and, we'll get rid of it. What do you think about YouTube? What do you think about the users themselves? Where do you think the big failure really is? Or is each group responsible for the failure? I'd love to hear your guys' opinions, and I will talk to you guys sometime for another video.